never be Nick. Sluts in my city only see dick. Travel on this one-way path, fuck the scenic. Shine across the horizon like a phoenix rising.
Holy shit, we're back, and we're going to talk about some Elimination Chamber that's taking place in Perth, Australia? Is that where it is? We're going to the land down under. That's my Australian boys. Put some shrimp on the barbie. Here we go. Chris, we're here with the Rub Wrestling Podcast with obviously yourself, Josh, and me, your host, Matt. Where can people find our podcast if they want to listen to it?
Everywhere the podcasts are available. Notably, if you can, subscribe to us and like us on YouTube. That seems to be where we get the most views. We are on Facebook as well as Instagram, so like and follow us there as well.
I can feel the energy in the room when you say that. And as I go to my question of the day, like I always start off every other podcast, Chris, you said literally 5 minutes ago, and I quote, "Man, I wish I had a Red Bull. Instead, I got stuck with this lovely Canada Dry." Does that mean that your energy levels are super low at this point? What's going on? It's Sunday night, man. Wake the fuck up.
Yeah, it's a little low. I had a nap before I came on. I thought I'd be okay, but it was just an hour nap, so now I'm all groggy. So I'm probably going to be super high energy as usual. Luckily, it was a Canada Dry that wasn't a diet, so there is some sugar, so that should hit pretty soon.
Well, we'd have to start a debate. I prefer Diet Canada Dry. But my question comes to you. Currently, right now, you're also talking about Caesars a couple seconds ago. What is your favorite go-to alcoholic beverage for the year of 2022 so far? I was going to say 2022. 2024 so far. Ooh, time machine.
It would be a Caesar. Like I do like a good Caesar. I've been buying the Mott's Clamato. I've been trying. They don't seem to make Walters anymore. At least they don't have them at the LCBO that I give my patronage to. But yeah, the Caesars are my favorite. Now I guess I have to go with the Clamato, the Mott's Clamato original. I do like them. I do like them at a bar, handmade, or sometimes I get the Walters Caesar mix, and I just make virgin Caesars every once in a while. I just keep one in the fridge. Don't have one today though.
Yeah, it's really weird, man. My family grew up with tomato juice, and everybody looked at me weird. Everybody that I'd say that to looks weird. Like Marilee Courtemanche used to buy like tomato juice out of the can and pour that shit like 3 times a week, and just loved it. Used to put like salt and pepper and Worcestershire sauce in. If I hear somebody call it Worcestershire sauce, go fuck yourself. You guys are losers. Learn how to read a label. And
wash your sister's sauce.
And fix your impeccable English. Now, Josh used to be a bartender. We know that. My question for you is, what's a more delicious Caesar that you would have? Are you more of a gin Caesar guy, or are you a vodka Caesar guy? And if you had to convert one to the other, what would you say?
Oh, I was always a gin Caesar guy. I actually liked a even more booze forward Caesar. So if you could make it a double, I did concoct a Caesar teeny where I added, some vermouth and turned it kind of into a martini, and that was quite tasty. Get you real fucked up on the patio at the, back in the day. Don't drink anymore. For those of you in the U.S., Caesar's a better version of a Bloody Mary, that's for darn sure. And Clamato juice is, clam juice and tomato juice is fan-fucking-tastic. I used to with my grandma. I have memories of her because the same as your mom, she would just drink Clamato juice after dinner with a little salt and pepper on top, maybe an ice cube to keep it cool. Sometimes it was room temperature. I don't know if that's what they had.
Oh, no, it's the craziest thing. Like, I know there's a few people that I know that would drink it religiously, and I haven't done it before, but like everybody's like, you drink V8, gross. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with V8. Like, if you grew up on tomato juice, it's fine. Like, it's totally not like a weirdo thing. But everybody that I've looked at when I was a kid that I used to say I drink tomato juice, I used to like it, to be like, that's fucking weird. And I'd be like, you're fucking weird. Like, get a life. So, anyways, that's a good point.
It's for old people.
Now, my last question for both of you is, what are your thoughts on those like ridiculous $35 Caesars that have like grilled cheese sandwiches and like corn on the cob and shit in them? Is that like just the world's most ridiculous thing, or am I like, because I would never order one. Has anybody actually had one and actually fully enjoyed it?
No, I don't. Like I'm not gonna pay $35 for a Caesar because it comes with a slider with it attached to it. I find they're already like a meal, so why add a meal on top of it?
Yeah, for sure. The
Yeah.
only two meals in the like in alcoholism, when you think about it, when you go like alcoholic beverage wise, Caesars, Guinness, those are the two big ones. Those are meals in themselves. But let's talk about the meal of a pay-per-view that's going to be the Elimination Chamber. That's going to be, like I said, in the land down under. You put your shrimp on the bobby. Let's get ready to go. Probably going to be a day in the future. I think it's on February 24th that we're going to watch it on the Saturday at, guess what time, gentlemen? 5 a.m. So I don't
Sleepover
know if, like,
party.
yeah, I think in a lot of cases, like even for myself at 5 a.m., at that 5 a.m. time, Eastern time, I'm probably just going to wait till the replay happens at 7 or 9 and actually have some steak and eggs and watch it. I think that'd be a great thing, but unbelievable. We got a really, really good card that's starting to form here. What we are is we're going to do our lead up into the men and women's Elimination Chamber match. We're going to start with some of the one predicted match that could be coming out, and then we'll talk about the two smaller matches, and then we'll really give our insights into the men and the women's Elimination Chamber, because that'll be the main story after that, going into WrestleMania on the road there. So we'll kick it off. The predicted match that we've been hearing is coming out is going to be Gunther and looks like Jey Uso. The card's not fully finalized. It probably will by this week going into Raw and SmackDown on Friday night. But I think by Raw time, we'll probably have the rest of everything figured out. So when we look at this, we actually seem like we actually have a contender now that's really going to challenge Gunther to try to take the title in Jey. Like, Jey is one of those over characters on the Raw brand at this point. Gunther's had the title for what seems like 4,000 days. I know it's probably like 400 or 500 days or something like that, but that's still a ridiculous number to be the Intercontinental Champion. So, Josh, when you look at this match, does the overness of Jey Uso and what he brings with the Yeet formula and everybody going crazy with the hand bouncing in the ring, is that really going to overshadow the technical ability that Gunther brings to the ring? Or are we just seeing two different styles that are going to mesh well in like one kind of, I don't even know, like this, I don't even know if what a word is. I'm thinking triumvirate, but it's two people, like basically this union of styles coming together that are on opposite sides of the spectrum. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I really hope we get to see this match. I imagine that they haven't announced this match probably because they have to get Jey Uso a visa, knowing his history. Maybe Australia is a tougher country for him to get into. I think it's Jey Uso is a real threat to take Gunther's title. I don't think he's going to do it, but I think that there's a good chance that he does beat Gunther in some way. But for this one, I would say no yeet. Gunther's going to win because Gunther, I don't know. I feel like it's not time for Gunther to lose. I feel like once WrestleMania happens, hopefully he has a big match in it that either he loses because there's a turn or something, or where he's put into the picture to be the champion eventually, because that's the way they're building him. So I think that like with Jey Uso's organic, he's way more over than Jimmy is, and the no yeet movement is definitely not the same as the yeet movement. Although I did like the no yeet shirts a little bit better than the yeet shirts, so I was thinking about getting a no yeet shirt because I like the heel a little bit more sometimes. So.
Yeah, Chris, it's, you kind of look at what Josh is saying there, and it's kind of, like I said, it's just two really unique styles that are coming together. If I want you to be the booker here, and I want you to think about this situation for this. Based on, everybody, we've been hearing a lot about when's Gunther going to make this move into the world title picture? Is he already there? Just based on being the Intercontinental Champion for so long. My question is, how would you book Gunther moving forward after this match? Do you have him as the winner and then try to, keep him to stay the course as the Intercontinental Champion because he's been great for TV that way? Or do you let Jey run with it, and then are we kind of getting ready to move Gunther into the picture starting at WrestleMania and then moving forward? What would you do in this situation if you were to book?
I mean, I would have taken the title off him and put him into the main event picture a while ago. I still think he's gonna win. He's gonna come out the winner of this. He is good on TV, and it's funny because Jey Uso could be that guy who might be able to also keep that title on a consistent path where it's represented somebody. So I could see him wearing it. I could see it being an option. I just don't think they're going to do it. I don't know. I guess you keep him strong. They're not going to keep. He's always putting on good matches. He makes other people look good in the ring. So I don't know. One of these days, somebody's going to come around and they're going to think that someone can carry the title like he does, because he's brought a lot of legitimacy to it, which is one thing that a lot of the Intercontinental champions that try to get over, they always talk about. They want to bring the legitimacy back to the belt. They want to bring the prestige back to it. I think he's done it. So I think the title's in a good place now. So I think that's something, one of his bigger accomplishments to this date is to bring that title back to relevancy. So I think does he already have the record for
Yeah,
most
he has.
okay.
He beat it a while ago from Honky Tonk Man.
Okay, so it's coming. It's coming. There's not much else for him to do with that title if he's, brought it back to being a relevant belt. He's beaten the streak. So right now, there's not much more he can do with it except for being a solid champion who you can put on TV quite a bit, like who can carry that belt. But yeah, he's knocking at the door. Looks like even with the cards we have some guys who are going at the Elimination Chamber who are in the picture. So the picture will start getting less muddy, and I think once it gets less muddy, instead of kind of lumping him in an Elimination Chamber match, I think for him it'll be a one-on-one feud, and it'll be something that he goes straight for the title. So I give it a few months after WrestleMania. I think that's when we'll start seeing it turn.
I think the scenario here, when I look at it, is that I don't know if there's a better time to give it to Jey Uso, but I don't know if it happens at Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania. I think his days are numbered as the champion, just because you do have to move him up, right? And I think there's no time to start doing that then at the beginning of, like, basically the season switching over at the end of WrestleMania. So you can do a couple different things here, which is, one, you could have Jey beat him at Elimination Chamber, and then have Gunther and Jey go again at WrestleMania, and then have Gunther give him the beating of all beatdowns, even if he loses at WrestleMania, right? That way you kind of build Jey up as a single star. That's something that the WWE also has to do in this picture, and that people are forgetting. So I don't know. Maybe Imperium gets involved. Maybe we see basically Gunther losing the title at WrestleMania instead of now. But I think for Elimination Chamber, I'd have to side with you just on that fact. But I will say that I think his days are numbered for that title. Great. We're going to start seeing some more work, and maybe eventually shifting away from something like Imperium just to really focus in on that Raw title. I wouldn't have him chase the one on SmackDown. I think going for that working man's title is going to be the one that's going to be really important for him moving forward. And I think that's going to be a massive stepping stone for him. That guy's got superstar written all over him, and it's just a matter of whether or not how the fans are going to buy into him, either as a heel or as a face, right? Right now, obviously, he's a mega heel, but you never know. Sometimes the little face turn can make a big difference moving forward as well. So I think we all have Gunther to win here. And if that match gets announced, we're going to figure it out early next week going into the 5 a.m. version of Elimination Chamber. Now, for our next match that we're going to talk about previewing, basically the Women's World Championship with Rhea Ripley going against Nia Jax. Like, this match looks like it could be a pretty big banger when you think about it. The one thing that concerns me in the match a little bit could be the pace of how the match is going to go. I'm really hoping to be surprised. But Josh, Chris, when we're looking at power in the ring, we got two women here that can actually just like throw it down and really kind of see something unique in this match. This is not like one where it's different styles that are going in. This is going to be power and all power moving forward in probably a 10 to 15 minute match for this title going through. So Josh, you kind of look at Nia Jax and them trying to rebrand her as a killer after the first time she basically came out. She had her first stint in the WWE before she was released, where at the end of it, they kind of had her getting beat. She was kind of a little bit of a, a comedy of error. She was on WWE Divas. Does this Nia Jax have the ability to basically take everything away from Rhea Ripley, even though that this is going to be in Perth, Australia? I mean, I think that she's not favored to win when you think about it, but on paper and like in the minds of people that are watching, is there a cloud of doubt that Nia Jax can actually get this done?
Oh, I mean, I think that the character Nia Jax definitely should be able to beat Rhea Ripley, and I think that there is a potential chance that Nia Jax wins. I don't think that Nia Jax wins here again because it's in Australia. It's going to be, is it their first major event in Australia? This is the major Australian wrestler in the world, but like the biggest one, would you say, like right now?
Yeah,
Um,
other than
it
maybe
may,
Grayson Waller, right? And then the New Zealand side, if you look at Bronson Reed, unless Bronson Reed is from Australia and not New Zealand, like I originally think.
so I mean, she's the most she's the best of them all, and because she's the champion, right? Like we're just because she's a woman, I think that she goes over hard on this one. I think that the thing that I worry about when you have wrestlers of this strength and physical size, that there's some chances that someone could get hurt. It's not talking about AEW, but I remember like a Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander match, both super powerful women, and they struggled because they tried to do their power moves on each other, and it looked unsafe. So I'm hoping that I think that Rhea Ripley's a little bit of a different beast. She is that physical that I think she'll be able to handle Nia Jax, and Nia Jax the same. It's always tough when you have two monsters fighting each other because their styles, they match up, and I just worry about the cardio in this one. So I hope that we get a banger, and Mommy's always on top, so we're gonna keep that going, and we're gonna say that Mommy is on top. So uh, finally got some WWE merch to represent, and some women's merch too. So
Joshua Daniel, the ultimate shill. I love it in a good way. Chris,
whatever.
yeah, hey, it's you got shirts. I love them.
Got to
Like,
spend my money somehow.
I fuck for sure, man. Hats, sneakers, and shoes, no problems there. Casino for me. That's how it works on my end. Chris, for you, when you're going through a lot of stuff and you're looking at this card as well, do you agree with what Josh is saying stylistically? Is there a chance to, like, what's your concern when you look at this match? I don't want to talk about it negatively all the way through because I think that there's been a really good build up to it. It's just like, when we kind of look on paper, it doesn't look like that S tier match. And to me, it looks like a B plus or an A tier. But is there a way that they can get there with kind of to counter against Josh's argument a little bit?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a way. Like if you're gonna do something long term, maybe, and build. Yeah, I don't know if it was something long term. I could see maybe a win here. But yeah, in Australia, I mean, back in the day, you never used to win in your hometown, so could be different. But just to go back on Josh's thing, Super Showdown was in 2018, and that was the last time they were in Australia. So I don't think there's been a major pay-per-view, and it's the only event in Asia Pacific region this year. But yeah, I mean, you could kind of have the bigger wrestler outpower the smaller wrestler in this one. So, I mean, you could actually make it make sense with the characters because, she could, in real life, she could probably take Rhea Ripley out if she wanted to. So, I mean, you have the option there, but you might have to do kind of an injury angle or something. But I don't know. You have to keep Rhea Ripley in there now. She has to be in the story. So whether they can get there with an injury angle, maybe a mistake from Dom, like Dom tries to help her, a little mistake there, that might be able to work. I think that's how you could get there, but it doesn't make sense to me. But it would be interesting if I did see it. If I did see it, I wouldn't be upset. I also, there's a lot more from Rhea I want to see. I want to see her up there in that top position. So if they could get there, I'm interested to see how they do it. If they don't, I'm still happy because because Rhea Ripley's she's one of the faces of the company right now.
Yeah, and what's crazy is Josh and I were talking about this earlier. It's like this is like probably the hardest pay-per-view to do because it's the run-in. And you know what? One of the funny things is that there's always a scenario where you don't want to, and I don't know how to use this term, politically, but you don't want to blow your load now going into WrestleMania and have a scenario where your WrestleMania becomes weaker for this. So for me, this is one of the hardest pay-per-views to actually book to make it decent. You can imagine what it was pre like being with the WWE network, right? Like where somebody was going to pay $39.99 or $49.99 for a pay-per-view, and to really make sure that something like this would work. Like, so, kudos to them to see what they're going to do. I think it's a big match to put on. And then my second point is you guys should really go on to the WWE.com website and actually see like Rhea Ripley's picture for the promo if you haven't seen it, because she looks fucking psycho in the promo. Like, it's unbelievable. And Chris, like if you're doing like any sort of editing, showing that on the screen right now would kind of be pretty cool if you're going to do it. So it's just to let you know, as a show note, it's 20 minutes and 45 seconds. So you're on mute.
I can actually mark that. I'm gonna mark it right now.
Beautiful. So yeah, like just the promo of the thing looks crazy. Nia Jax is wearing some weird thing. She looks like a priestess, and then Rhea Ripley just looks like fucking insane, which is crazy. So yeah, probably the third match that we're going to kind of talk about now is going to be for the World Tag Team Championships with Finn Balor and Damian Priest going against Chris. Who are they called again? What are the name of the group?
The New Catch Republic.
New Catch Republic of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. The strong old boy or the strong boy or whatever they call him. This is another match where you're kind of really trying to get Dunne and Bate over, and as faces they do a pretty good job. Dunne has since moving away from Butch, thank God, because we hated that when that came out. That was ridiculous. Sorry, but in a lot of cases, Pete going back to Pete, being the bruiserweight and using all that finger manipulation, like he's gonna like fucking break everybody's fingers. Love it. But to me, again, they seem like severe underdogs in this match against these two. Now, one of the things now, Josh, I know that we all like conspiracy theories, but let's say New Catch Republic ends up winning this match for the tag team titles. And they actually beat Balor and Priest, and they go over and, they go through, and it's like, yeah, mind-blowing thing. Does this almost guarantee that Priest is going to cash in at WrestleMania?
Was that for me? Yeah. I think he's going to cash at WrestleMania or try to cash at WrestleMania. I mean, he's been playing this like, will he, won't he cash pretty much every pay-per-view opportunity. So I think that there's a chance he runs down again and says like, I'm going to cash. And then someone's music goes off, The Rock's music goes off, and it's, can you smell what The Rock's cooking? And then he's like, oh, I guess I can't do it again. Rats, ruined it for me. And then, so I think that regardless of what happens, but New Catch Republic will not win this match. It will be the Judgment Day. But yeah, I think that Damian Priest still tries to cash at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win either. It was hypothetical, but when you kind of look at it, Chris, and you kind of look at Dunne and Bate, they've done a really good job on TV in such a short amount of time, right? And we kind of talked about the tag team division in not just in AEW, but in the WWE, because we're big tag team fans, where there seems to be that there's a lack of them, or a lack of strong belief that people can actually beat the current champions, and that's just due to a lack of development. Do you think that they're going to be able to fill into that spot in a relatively short amount of time? Because they've been with the brand now for a few years, and they've been really kind of getting over as faces all the way through. Dunne obviously had that one when he was with Pat McAfee's group where he was basically a heel, and he was almost probably the most hated there. But since being with Sheamus, he's been a really big face. And now putting these two guys together, both from England, both strong English boys, even though they're a little bit undersized. Do you think that this is their time to really step into the limelight and show what they got?
I think we've seen both of them in NXT do a lot of we've seen it. Having them together, it makes sense to me. Oddly, I didn't think it would at first, but it does. I don't mind it. I always miss the Pete Dunne character, so I'm happy to see that back. I think giving him his old name back gives him a little bit of notoriety because he got a pretty good pop when he came back to the old name. They let them win the Contender series, so I mean that puts stock whether you know it or not. If the bookers if they make somebody win enough, the fans will get behind them to an extent, and then it's up to the wrestlers to kind of do the rest on their own, and then that's how you see some fail. But I think they have that, so I think if they're given more opportunities and if they're able to adapt and able to kind of change along, if the fans aren't getting receptive one way, if they can organically make a little change that might get the fans behind them, then maybe they can get some more time. I don't see them winning here either. But it's especially with the Contender series, it looked like they did showcase some tag team wrestling for a bit. So they came out of that, so they're at the top of the pile. So might as well, we can make other things where they can wrestle DIY a little bit more, and we can maybe showcase a little bit more tag team wrestling and kind of keep the Judgment Day up there without really having to defend until a major pay-per-view, but keep everybody involved. So putting them up there, I think, would be a good idea. I think this is their chance to kind of show us what they can do on the main roster on their own.
I don't want to go off the rails here, but I think one of the things that I'd love to see, and it's specifically been an NXT thing, but I'd really love to see the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic come to Raw and SmackDown and do a massive tournament for that. And then have kind of like a Money in the Bank or a contract where they can kind of pick which tag titles they can go after. I think that'd be it's just a really good way to kind of do a King of the Ring style showcase of what you have in your tag team division. To kind of move that in and out. And, some purists are going to say, keep it in NXT. That's really develop the tag teams. But the problem is, in a lot of cases, when you try to move them up to the main roster, they end up breaking off and going into singles anyways. So what's the difference if they kind of do that? I think it'd be a great way to do that. I don't want to get off track. That was a thought I wanted to throw in there. But now, so Chris, what do we want to start with? Do you want to start with the women's elimination chamber or the men's elimination chamber? What do we want to start with here, gentlemen?
The women's. We'll start with the women's today.
All right. So, women's elimination chamber, this is how it plays out. There's still one person not in the match, and Josh was telling me as well that there's going to be a Rumble type situation for that match, I believe. Josh, that's what you were saying? Which is great. So, one person's not in, but basically what we do is we have Naomi, we have Liv Morgan, we have Becky Lynch, we have Bianca Belair, and we have Chris. Get ready for it. Touch your watch. It's Tiffy time. Tiff Stratton in the elimination chamber after 2 main roster matches, which is going to be a little bit crazy. So, Josh, my first question is just going to be a very simple answer. Not a simple answer, a simple question to you, which is, who do you think the person that's going to win the Rumble is going to be? Who would you like to see, and who do you think maybe it is, if you were to think of the roster?
Ooh, that's really a tough one. I don't even know who's in it. Asuka, but I don't think she's going to be in it. That's a person I think that you could throw into this match that would be successful, and I love Asuka, so that's who I would put.
I think Asuka would be actually a great fit for this match because it's not a knock on Naomi and Liv and Tiff. Tiff's brand new. Naomi's just came back. Liv has just came back, even though she's pretty high up for the face ranks. But there only really seems to be 2 real superstars in this match that I think are going to go to WrestleMania, that you would say that are going to go to WrestleMania, in Bianca Belair and with Becky Lynch. Chris, am I wrong here? Do you agree with Josh's Asuka assumption? Who do you think the 6th person would be, and what do you think about what I just said?
Yeah, I think it does kind of lack a little bit of star power there. Realistically, you could see Becky Lynch. Well, I mean, I guess you have to go with your odds. Would have to say that Becky Lynch is going to win. Do we have odds for that? Do we know what those are? But
Not as I don't think as of yet, but we probably we could you keep talking and we'll double check.
yeah, and Bianca Belair could, but it seems like, I mean, she got that point with Jade Cargill in the Royal Rumble, but it seems like they kind of haven't lost all hope in Bianca Belair. That's not what I mean to say, but it seems like they have kind of moved away from having her being one of the main faces. Tiffany Stratton, I think it's cool when you give somebody fairly new one of the the places in here. So it's good to see her getting this, like, it's exposure, right? And it's how do you get better if they're not put in these situations? So kind of like how they do with Cargill in the Royal Rumble, you get to kind of see, what they can do. It'd be interesting to see if Jade Cargill could get that spot in here somehow. But with Tiffany Stratton there, I think they already have the newer. Oh man, imagine Jordan Grace. Imagine that. That would be.
I personally don't see it happening. Like, I really don't see that happening, but it would be crazy. Like, I mean, like you have 3 names that you said right there that, like, Jade Cargill, a couple names that we missed. Josh would be like, maybe like very dark horse, which would be Shayna Baszler. But what about a Zoe Stark? Putting a Zoe Stark or somebody in there would probably give it a little bit more credibility. But I would say that's what you either have to use the spot for, right, guys? It's either going to be, we need the superstar for the match, or we're bringing in somebody young that's like, up and coming, that's really going to come through. Like, Jade would fit massively here, but I don't think that Rhea Ripley is the match for Jade at WrestleMania, and I just don't think that would happen. I think you're waiting for Jade and Charlotte. I think that's the match that's going to be what everybody, or Jade and Bianca Belair, right? Like, those are going to be massive matches, but it's tough. Josh, overall, when you're looking at this, and you got to keep in mind, obviously, the winner's fighting Rhea Ripley, who do you think is going to take this down?
I think it's going to be Becky Lynch. I mean, I very clearly Becky Lynch or Bianca Belair. I think the way that they're booking it is going to be Becky Lynch. I personally think Bianca Belair makes more sense to me. Isn't that who Rhea Ripley took the title belt off of last year? So I feel like Bianca might be a good rematch, So, but I'm going to go with Becky Lynch still.
Chris, who do you think takes this down?
I think Becky Lynch does. We have to kind of look at, when you look at these events that happen overseas, you're either going to see some big changes or everything is going to go and everything is going to stay kind of status quo. I think in this, looking at the card, I think this is going to stay status quo. So I think it's going to be a little bit easier to kind of, it's easy. Like you said, it's a hard event to pull off. So you kind of, when you look at it and you see people like Becky Lynch, you think Becky Lynch is going to win it. I find it a little easier to call these, but when you're surprised, it's more exciting. But yeah, for this one, I don't think anything major is going to happen. I think they're going to follow storylines that we're kind of touching on, like that Josh touched on. I think we're going to follow that into a lead up. So I'll go with Becky Lynch as well.
I have to third that as well. I think everything's kind of pointing towards Becky getting back into that WrestleMania main event picture, right? And I think, like, really what it is I think the story that we really want to see here is what's going to happen from this match that's going to lead into WrestleMania. Who's Bianca going to fight at WrestleMania? She's not going to be off the card. Are we going to give somebody like Tiff Stratton a major WrestleMania entrance that I think would be fantastic if she ever saw it? Maybe we do end up seeing something like Jade and Bianca in that scenario. Maybe somebody gets involved. I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's probably low chance of that happening, but I think we're going to have a lot more answers after this match happens. And if we don't have it at the match, we're going to have it probably in the next couple weeks, because the build-up's going to be, 7 weeks or 8 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks to WrestleMania at that point. So they're going to really have to get those stories out nice and quick to do the build-up, because that's the toughest part about this thing is, Chris, when we're talking about the old days of doing Elimination Chamber, it was like used to be in March, right? And then when you'd have the March Elimination Chamber happen, and if it was for a title, you'd only have a 5 or 6 week buildup, which is now, if you kind of look at what they're doing with Cody and Seth, and that buildup's looking at like 12 weeks. right? It has more of a big fight feel to it. So I think we're going to have the answers that come out from this match, but I really want to see some of these younger talents get over so that we can have some different WrestleManias in the future that will be really, really top draw, right? So, but yeah, I think we're all going with Becky Lynch in this one. And lastly, that's going to bring us basically, there's going to be a segment that comes out with Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes. They're going to, with the Grayson Waller effect. Grayson Waller is obviously Australian. He's going to be his usual asshole self, which will be fantastic. There'll be some palm trees and stuff in the ring. We don't know what that's going to entail right off the bat, but that is something else that could be a really big storyline that's going to kind of tie in everything going away from that to WrestleMania. Now, probably what I would assume to be the main event is going to be the Elimination Chamber for the men, just because it is going to determine the number one contender to the World Heavyweight Champion for Seth Rollins, right? Obviously, Cody's going to be fighting The Rock, but this is a star-studded lineup when you actually look at this, and there's a lot of people that can actually go through and win it. We got Kevin Owens, we got the almighty Bobby Lashley, we have Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, and LA Knight. And I think, and so can I get a yeah, guys?
Yeah.
Josh? Yeah. Sounds.
Sorry, I was on mute.
It's all right.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, there's a couple things to note. Chris, another spot here, 35-58. When you look at the promo for this, it looks like Logan Paul and LA Knight are brothers, which is kind of a weird thing to look at when you look at this poster. But you can kind of look at this as that, like, there's a lot of people in this match that could be a legitimate contender for that title for Seth. Like, and I mean, I know we're kind of looking at, you know, like Randy Orton was the front runner. We got LA Knight, but like, I don't think it's going to be bad if Kevin Owens was in there. I don't think it would be bad if Drew was in there. Drew's been part of that storyline. Can you imagine Logan Paul fighting Seth for a world title at WrestleMania? Like, the one that almost doesn't make sense is one of the only ones that's been a multiple time champion there, like for like multiple, and Bobby Lashley, right? Like he doesn't really stick out to me as like he's going to be the winner of the match, but he has a world championship pedigree and would be something, you know, crazy. Even when you know, he had the whole situation where they put the title on him against that, what was it, Brock Lesnar, or was it Goldberg or Brock Lesnar, when he was kind of a shock win that he won it. So I don't even really know where to start. When you're looking at this, I'm not going to ask Chris the Logan Paul question because I already asked him the Logan Paul question. Is Logan Paul going to look out of place in this, Josh? What do you think?
Oh no, I think this match is like purely developed for someone like Logan Paul. Wasn't he in the last Elimination Chamber? I feel like he was in an Elimination Chamber, similar style match. I think that he'll be fine. He's so athletic that it's going to be easy for him to be carried through this. And I think that Matt, I agree with you about Bobby Lashley. I feel like I don't think he has a chance to win, but I actually think that there's only three potential winners in this. But I'll tell you after once.
You want Chris to go first? Okay, I don't blame that. So Chris, when you're looking through this and you're going through the people that are here, like who do you think is the clear front runner to face? Like if like Rollins, do you think that you're going to go with what the people are saying? Because people are saying it's Randy Orton, but it seems that when you look at a lot of stuff here, this may be a chance to give your boy LA Knight a shot. Like how do you feel about this, and where do you think it's going to go? Do you think that maybe that's a plant to say that Randy was going to get it and maybe give it to LA Knight to have a bigger shot at it? What do you think?
It could be. I mean, at this point, like, do we even know if Randy wants it anymore? Do we know if he needs or wants to carry a belt? Or does he because like sorry, I had to go off on a tangent, but what he did with Matt Riddle. I was watching Van Vliet in one of his interviews, and Matt Riddle was saying that like Randy Orton hated him at first, and then he can't looks like he might want to start working with people and just like doing kind of, because you know he's got to be at the twilight of his career. We all know that. Like he's not going to go forever. He just sustained a major injury, so putting him out there with the belt, and having to put on those long matches that aren't tag matches or that aren't matches with multiple people in it, where he can have a little more recovery time. He doesn't have to take the majority of the bumps. I think that's what we're going to see from Randy Orton moving forward. So I don't see him walking away with the title. LA Knight, I think, is our perfect pick here. He's gotten over organically. He's sold merch. He's gone on the mic and he's looked great. He's had good promo battles. His in-ring stuff, for me, it's a little not mid, but I mean, I haven't been blown away by his matches, but I mean, he's gotten himself there. I think he deserves the moment out of all of them. It would suck if they gave it to Drew McIntyre just to get him to sign, but Kevin Owens and Logan Paul. Sorry, is Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, are they kind of doing something together? Like,
Nope.
Are they okay? So I think Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul takes, like, because they're kind of in a program together, it takes them out of winning. They won't win. They'll just be there to kind of, like Josh said, with Logan Paul, all you just have to have one of those veterans just say, okay, go jump off that. And he'll go jump off it. They can bring him through the match. They can carry him through the match. But from where my money is, I say this is where you take the shot on LA Knight. I hope that's what they do. And I hope they give him that WrestleMania match. Whether he wins it or not, I think he deserves to fight. I think he deserves to wrestle for a title at WrestleMania. And there's not going to be another chance after this, at least very few.
So, Josh, Chris is bowed down at the altar of LA Knight, which isn't a bad thing. I'm just kidding, Chris, but you know what I mean. He's going with LA Knight. You had to pick 3. Who are you picking here?
Yeah, so like Chris, I agree. I think the reason why I think that Kevin Owens and Logan Paul can't win are because they're going to continue their program at WrestleMania, which is a much more intriguing story. Like I said, a death match. We're going to see that death match, Logan Paul death match. We know you're listening, Triple H. Book that match. Bobby Lashley, again, I think he kind of is odd man out. The only thing that gets me to think that LA Knight's not going to win is that, like, the way that they've been booking him is that he's going to feud with AJ Styles. And I still am going back to this because he prevented AJ Styles from going into this match. So I still think that there's a small chance that AJ Styles gets involved in Elimination Chamber as a heel and ruins LA Knight's chances. And so for that reason, I think that it might be Drew McIntyre, and I don't like it, but I agree again with Randy Orton. I think that Randy Orton is very easy that he could be the person that wins Elimination Chamber like that. There's no doubt. If they put it on here, if they give Randy Orton the win, then that's because he is a viable option for any championship, any WrestleMania. I don't see him going to WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre, maybe because they're trying to get him to sign, he's doing this heel thing. I think that's why he's going to win. I just don't think it's LA Knight. I don't know why. I just don't think that they're going to put it on LA Knight. And I think that they're going to have a way to make it be Drew McIntyre. I don't like it, but that's who I think it's going to be.
But what if
how about you let me go with what I think, and then I'm going to let you cut in with your question, just because I want to get it out. I want to get it out there right now. There's 3 scenarios that happen here, in my opinion, and you guys are right. Chris, you hit it right on the head. Owens and Paul, not happening. Paul's going to screw Owens at some point, and that's really going to set up Owens to beat him at WrestleMania. That's what I honestly think is going to happen there. Lashley, Josh, you're right. Odd man out. He's the odd man out. I don't even know if he gets on a WrestleMania card at some point, because there's nothing really for him storyline-wise. It'd be more of the Hurt Business or whatever. Is that what they're called still? The Hurt Business together doing whatever it is now that they have B-Fab too. Like, I don't like, fuck it. It confuses the shit out of me. That whole group confuses the fuck out of me. Now, when you look at the 3 hands, who's the surest hand? Randy's the surest hand, right? He's the one that if you're looking for box office pop, if you're looking for probably the best money match that you're going to get out of it, potentially, that's the one that you're going to look at. He's going to be the headline for that if you're looking at the headline. But then it brings us to kind of what you're saying, Chris, and what you're saying, Josh, like Drew McIntyre or LA Knight, right? Now, LA Knight's merchandise sales have dropped a lot since people have come back, like CM Punk, and we've had like some different shirts. Like, in fact, his shirt was actually 10th in, I think it was, for merchandise sales. He's still one of the most over faces on SmackDown. You can't take that. But if I'm looking for the biggest upside here, I'm going with Drew McIntyre, and I don't even care about the contract. his storyline has been the best line out of all three of them. And like then coming out with what shirt did he have where he said that he ended CM Punk's career? Like fuck, like what an awesome shirt. He's just
couldn't get
buying
it. We couldn't get it. I tried.
Oh man, like unbelievable. Like just super smart. And this is where Drew McIntyre is going all in to say, this is where I'm going to make it or I'm not going to make it. And it looks like right now, like how Drew looked during the WrestleMania, like when COVID was going on, and he's like, nobody is going to fucking stop me. And like, that's what it is. The character before that was like underconfident. It's the same character, but you can tell when he's underconfident, and he was underconfident, but now he's just like, I'm either going to make this work or I'm going to go somewhere else. He goes, I'm not going to let he's like, I've won the title. He goes, I don't need to, I've had my moment, regardless if it's a shitty WrestleMania moment or not. Like, who am I to fucking judge that? But at the end of the day, he wants his moment in front of 100,000 people or whatever it is. Why not cash in on that now? And on top of that, that belt is defended on the Raw brand, right? Which is, like maybe that's a way to get LA Knight over. I don't know. But I'd say if you're going for best overall, like payout from the match, it's got to be Drew, because I think Drew's going to give you the best match out of the three, like wrestling wise. That could be arguable against Orton, but we could all say that we think that LA Knight is the weakest of the three wrestlers in that. And I think like if you're looking for a match that somebody's going to go with Rollins, I think the other question comes in is, how bad is Rollins' knee injury? Do you need somebody like Randy to carry you, or does he believe that Drew can carry him through that match? And that's another thing as well, right? I don't know. He's probably never worked. Has he ever worked with LA Knight? I don't even think he has. So that's something that goes against LA Knight as well. So I'm with you, Josh. I'm actually going with Drew. Now, Chris, I interrupted you, and as a Canadian, I apologize. So I'm going to let you go ahead. I just wanted to really state the fact that I think Drew's going to get it in.
No worries. As a fellow Canadian, I will accept the apology no matter how mad I would even be. So right now, you guys kind of changed my light on that, because if you think about LA Knight, if LA Knight goes through, and if that knee injury is bad, LA Knight's going to be a bad wrestler to put somebody against who's got a doctor who's got to work him through an injury, right? Drew McIntyre could do it. Randy Orton obviously could do it. Kevin Owens could probably do it while he was sleeping. Bobby Lashley's been around a while, but does he have that in him to call a match? So I think now that you got, like, hearing from you guys, I would have to go with Drew as well, because I just think I think it makes sense for LA Knight if the plan is for Seth Rollins to take some time off, having LA Knight win and then going into a fairly long feud with AJ Styles would kind of isn't bad. It's not a bad idea, I don't think.
No.
But I think, yeah, for the sake of the match and because it's WrestleMania, I don't think they're going to want to actually put LA Knight in there if he's going to be the one who has to take the most of the match that the match has to focus on. So I'm going to switch, as a Canadian does. We listen, and then we and then our minds can be changed. And my mind has been changed, and I will now select Drew McIntyre as my winner.
I'm going to change just to be different and pick LA Knight. That's what I'm going to do. There's your short for
And
it.
I'm going with Randy Orton.
I'm going with Kevin Owens to win this match.
He's the only one who's for sure not winning this match, though.
I think the last thing that I want to bring up about this match before Josh slices some salami is that I'm kind of really feeling for LA Knight, because the irony of what's happening is killing me. It's ironic in the sense that he got to where he was because he was in the right place at the right time. And now with what's going on, he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, because no matter what happens, unless he gets the title at WrestleMania, he's probably not going to get the title for a long time. And the problem is because if you're going to anticipate Cody winning, which is what you could anticipate, let's just anticipate that, you're not going to take the belt off of Cody Cody's not going to hold it for 3 years. Let's be honest. But he's not going to hold it for less than 6 months. The thing about McIntyre winning is that McIntyre can step into that spot and you could belt change him on 3 months. really. Like, you really could, because he's believable that he can be beaten, right? Like, so Cody at that point hasn't really lost a match in forever either, no matter what we talk about Reigns' thing. The problem with Knight is that who are you going to beat? Is he's got to beat Cody to be the next guy, right? So unless he beats Seth to be this guy, it's going to be very difficult for him to get the title back unless they find a way to move him during the draft or something, right? So just kind of right now, he's in the wrong place at the wrong time instead of capitalizing him when he was on the right place at the right time, right?
Yeah, when he blew up, I think I mentioned this before as well. I think he's he's doing great. It's just with what the stories are, like it's not a great time to be doing great. Like, it's not a great time to have that run, because there's stuff that clearly we can see, like you're not going to overtake Cody, you're not going to overtake Roman, you're not going to overtake Seth. Like you're doing great, you're overselling everybody, but it's just you made it on your own, but now you're like you have the worst timing. Everybody's coming back now, and then so it does. I sympathize with him like Matt does, because it does suck, because this could be Elimination Chamber could be kind of the end of the line for LA Knight.
I don't think it will be. I just think at the end of the day, like the biggest factor for him, and Josh, I'm sure you agree, is his age, right? Like, I mean, when you look at how old he is, how much time left do you think that guy has if you were to look at it?
Well, I mean, if he was CM Punk, he'd have 17 more tricep tears, 6 more bicep injuries.
CM Punk is fucking Dracula. Let's be for real.
I think that there's a chance. I agree that the age is the problem, and then we're also forgetting about Damian Priest. Like, how does he fit into all of this? So I think that there is a chance that LA Knight could take the title off of Damian Priest easily if for some reason Damian Priest interferes and gets the wins against Seth, right? Like, let's say it doesn't matter who wins Elimination Chamber because Seth goes over no matter what, and then Damian Priest jumps in and takes the title. I'm just not sure. Damian Priest can he implement his thing in a non-match situation? So, like, let's say Seth Rollins is doing an interview on the Grayson Waller effect. Could Damian Priest come in, attack him, immobilize him, and then get the referee be like, okay, now start counting? Is that a possibility? Because I don't know why he hasn't implemented that yet.
No, I think you can use it at any point.
Anything's a possibility.
Does Seth have to be fit to match?
No, because anything's a possibility, because they could just write it as one. So
that's right. Yeah, if they make the rules, they can do whatever they want.
Exactly.
So I think, and then Damian Priest is secretly run by The Rock, and then The Rock is like this, like he did this instead of like this, So.
Who is that too?
He's the Puerto Rican.
It was like an L, like a loser.
Oh, right? I thought it was some kind of conspiracy signal to the Bilderbergs or something.
No, I think what it was is that he is one of the few followers, and he sees that at the end of our thing we always do this, and he was giving us a shout out.
Chris, we've just been thinking it's the wrong thing. We'd say it's not Illuminati, it's just Luminati.
right.
Anyway, with that being said,
I have grandiose disorder. I believe those things, just like how your question last week. Hey, Chris, how would you get Taylor Swift to date you?
Yeah, woo, not date, not date. Woo. How would you woo Taylor Swift?
How would you woo?
Yeah, my delusions of grandeur weren't at their highest peak at that point when I answered that question. She'd have to convince me to date her.
Yeah, you'd have you sounded very underconfident when I listened back on that podcast. That was pretty funny. But anyways, yeah, that's the preview of Elimination Chamber. That's going to kick off on Sunday. Just remember, set your PVRs or watch a replay or some shit, or get up at 5 a.m. I don't care. It's your life if you want to get up that early to watch it. Some nerds will, and that's fine. I'm not going to. But I will get up at around 7, potentially 9, and have steak and eggs and some coffee and watch it. But Josh, with that being said, ching, 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 slice up some salami. Chris, put a fucking sound effect in there finally for once. I'm tired of doing ching, 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 ching.
All right. So, what really slices my salami? Too many people doing the same moves.
Tope suicida.
Not just
sling blade.
What about kip ups? Kip ups. Everybody's got a kip up. they're not special. I feel like there's got to be at some point where some guys in the back where the old school system is in place and be like, hey man, you can't do that because I do that. And then like there's nothing that's special anymore. Everybody does the same 20 moves. How many super kicks are we going to see? How many topes? How many frog splashes? How many three amigos? Like we got to stop this. People doing the same moves really slices my salami.
One of the sad ones for me that I hate is how everybody copies the Eddie Guerrero thing, and they're like, I get it that it's a tribute, but it still drives me fucking mad when they do it.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
just said that. The three amigos.
Yeah, but it's like it's even for when he does this frog splash, he does this thing, like, and it's like, yeah, I get it, like it's a tribute, I totally get it, and I'm not, and like if I'm offending anybody, I apologize. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I just find it like it's just ridiculous. Like, you know, like if his kid's not doing it, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, like Dominic Mysterio can do it. It's different. He's the one. Like
Yeah.
I hate to say it because I'm not a fan of Dominic Mysterio, but he is allowed to do it because Eddie Guerrero is his father.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I love the Latino Heat shoulder shrug. I could watch it all day. Logan Paul does a good one. I could
Like
watch
that,
it all day.
That's funny because like it happened with the Mysterio thing, but I mean I don't want to see it in AEW. I don't want to see it in TNA. I don't want to see it in NJPW. Like, you know, that's just me. That's personally what I feel. And yeah, I mean, like I can be swayed on that argument. Like prove to me and give me an argument that's better. But at the end of the day, it's like I just get tired of seeing it too. And it's like, and then Josh, the other one is somebody who takes the three amigos and then do something different. Like Mac Jackson does the three Northern Light suplexes.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing. Like it doesn't matter if it's Kurt Angle German suplexes. It's all the same shit. It's just rehashed, right?
Did anybody else do three German suplexes?
Brock
Lesnar did like 17 one time.
And so did old CB, I believe, eh? Didn't he do it as well?
And you know, Razor.
We can't say it.
Great kip up from Razor Sharp.
He did.
Yeah.
I agree.
Great kip up.
Yeah, Razor had a good cape up. It was Shawn Michaels worthy. That's what I would say. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
anyways, let's finish this up. Chris, anything that you'd like to add before we close her out?
Yeah, I don't know. Took a nap, so I'm pretty blanked out about it. I don't. Still a fan of Tony Storm after everything I see, and anytime we talk about her, I think we should look into putting some black and white on the screen. But that was what I saw. Dynamite. That was my major thing to this week, and thought it was an okay show. But I don't really have anything. Looking forward to Elimination Chamber, even though, like I said, it's a little kind of cookie cutter where it's not a hard one to call. But I'm interested. It's going to be nice to see how the stories progress through it, because so you always see a little bit more on when they use a PLE or a main, like a pay-per-view to kind of move storyline. You see a little bit moving and shaking, so that should be fun.
Yeah, for sure. We'll be back to giving out some AEW stuff next week. Obviously, with the PLE, we'll have a review in that, but we will talk in the preview coming up to get everybody ready for Revolution, because that's going to come up the following week, if I'm not mistaken, or close to that shit. That'll be pretty nuts. Josh, final thoughts before we close her the fuck out.
Yeah. Word of the day. A triumvirate, as Matt said earlier.
3.
Triumvirate is a triarchy is a political institution ruled or dominated by 3 individuals, known as triumvirs.
Or the rub.
So,
Kind of sounds like us.
Yeah, it sounds like we are a triumvirate.
So you know where I actually heard triumvirate for the first time, Chris? This will be my closeout.
Metal Gear Solid.
I'm
Nope.
saying OnlyFans.
Nope. It was actually on The Simpsons, where Homer was going to use the weight loss subliminal tapes, but he got the dictionary builder. And so he actually says that a triumvirate of Twinkies simply overpowered his resolve. And then when he was going to go sleep with Marge, he says, in the boudoir, the gourmand turns into the voluptuary. And then the third part of that is that when you get to the end of that episode, you see Homer with a stick and like something like he looks like a professor, and they actually tell you what each word means when you go through. So if you watch that episode, you'll actually see what each word is, because I paused it one time and it's there. So anywho, wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Everybody here from the Rub Wrestling Podcast, we all bid you adieu. Bang.
Cause the beat's running copacetic. When it all falls down, I hope you don't forget it. Nico City, son of anarchy, the hype demanded me. Mikey damage, show you amateurs the cost of vanity. So fuck humanity, floaty murder open-handedly. Most of my clique, yo, they come from broken families. The world that been open is coming to a closure. Can't find peace in a world full of soldiers. Can't stop getting